What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actresses walks onto a live daytime talk show expecting a friendly conversation, and instead finds herself in the middle of an unexpected on-air clash? What happens when a simple question turns into a tense back and forth that leaves the audience completely silent? Make sure to subscribe to Chronicle Chat and like and comment for more talk show coverage. The cameras are already rolling. The music fades out. The co-hosts are seated around the table, smiling toward the audience. The energy feels normal, upbeat, welcoming, routine. It's just another live episode of The View. Please welcome Academy Award winner Anne Hathaway. The audience erupts in applause as Anne Hathaway walks out smiling, waving gracefully, dressed in a sleek navy outfit. She hugs the hosts one by one and takes her seat. "Thank you for being here," says Whoopi Goldberg with her signature calm tone. "It's so good to be here," Anne replies warmly. "I've watched you all for years." "You brave woman," jokes Joy Behar, drawing laughter from the audience. The mood is light, easy, comfortable. They start with safe topics: Anne's latest film project, her experience returning to theater work, motherhood. She answers thoughtfully, smiling, occasionally laughing. The audience reacts positively. Everything feels smooth. "So you've been very selective lately," Joy says, leaning slightly forward. "You've talked about stepping away from certain types of roles. What changed?" And nods. "I think perspective. Life changes you. I don't feel the need to prove anything anymore." "That's interesting," Joy says. "Because earlier in your career, some people felt you were, how should I put this, trying very hard." There's a small shift in the room. It's subtle but noticeable, and keeps her smile. "Trying very hard?" "Well," Joy continues, "there was this narrative that you were very eager to be liked. Almost overly polished." A few audience members murmur. Whoopi glances sideways but says nothing yet, and tilts her head slightly. "I mean, I was in my 20s. Most people are trying to figure themselves out." "Sure," Joy replies quickly, "but you were everywhere. Awards campaigns, interviews, speeches. Some critics said it came off as inauthentic." The word hangs in the air. "Inauthentic," and repeats, her tone still calm but noticeably firmer. "I'm just saying what people said," Joy shrugs. Whoopi gently interjects. Joy is known for being subtle. The audience laughs nervously, and smiles briefly, but her posture changes. She sits straighter. "I think when women show ambition, it's often labeled differently." "Oh, here we go," Joy says lightly, though her tone sharpens. "It's not about ambition. It's about presentation." Sunny Hostin jumps in. "I do think there's a double standard. Male actors campaign aggressively all the time." "Exactly," and says, nodding towards Sunny. "And they're called driven." Joy crosses her arms slightly. "But some of it was about tone. The speeches, the tears." "The tears?" And interrupts gently. "You mean when I won an Oscar?" The audience goes quiet again. "You did look surprised," Joy says with a half-smile. "I was surprised," and responds. "That was one of the biggest moments of my life." Whoopi raises her hands slightly. All right, let's breathe." But the shift has happened. Joy leans back. "I'm just saying there was backlash. You can't deny that." "I'm not denying it," and says. "I'm saying it revealed something bigger." "Which is?" Joy asks. "That women in this industry are expected to be grateful, but not too grateful. Confident, but not too confident. Emotional, but not too emotional." The audience applauds. Joy's expression tightens just a bit. "Or maybe," she counters, "sometimes the public just reacts honestly. And that honesty is shaped by bias," and replies calmly. There's a pause. Whoopi tries to pivot. "You've been very open about stepping back from Hollywood pressure. Was that part of it?" And nods. "Absolutely. I realized I couldn't control narratives. I could only control how I respond." Joy jumps back in. "But do you take responsibility for any of it?" "For what?" And asks. "For the perception," Joy says. "You can't blame everything on society." The audience gives a mixed reaction, some applause, some murmurs. And inhales slowly. "I'm not blaming everything. I'm acknowledging patterns." "But isn't that convenient?" Joy presses. Sunny looks uncomfortable. Alyssa Farah Griffin shifts in her seat. "Joy," Whoopi says softly, warning in her tone. "I'm asking a fair question," Joy insists. "We're here to have real conversations." And nods. "And I'm answering honestly." "But you're reframing it," Joy says. "Every criticism becomes sexism." "That's not what I said. It's what you're implying." The room feels tighter now. The audience is silent. Anne's smile is gone. She's composed, but there's steel in her voice now. What I'm saying is that criticism doesn't happen in a vacuum. Joy leans forward. And I'm saying sometimes people just don't like what they see. A few audible gasps. Whoopi steps in more firmly. Okay, let's not turn this into a courtroom. And glances at Whoopi, then back at Joy. Can I ask you something? Sure, Joy says. If I were a male actor celebrating an award the same way, same speech, same emotion, would we still be dissecting my sincerity 10 years later? Joy hesitates for half a second. Possibly. Honestly. And asks. Yes, Joy says, though her voice isn't as certain. The audience reacts with soft skepticism. Sunny jumps in. I don't think so. Joy turns to Sunny. We're not doing hypotheticals. And gives a small nod. But this conversation is hypothetical. We're talking about perception. There's tension between the hosts now, not just between Joy and Anne. Whoopi tries to regain control. Anne, do you feel misunderstood? Yes, and says without hesitation. At times, yes. And does it still affect you? Whoopi asks. It used to, and says. Now I'm more protective of my peace. Joy quietly mutters, that's good. And here's it. You don't sound convinced. I just think celebrities sometimes overthink criticism, Joy replies. And sometimes media amplifies it, and counters. That lands heavier than anything else so far. Joy's eyebrows lift. Are you saying we amplify it? I'm saying conversations like this keep certain narratives alive, and says calmly. The audience goes completely still. Whoopi looks between them. All right, Joy's tone hardens slightly. So we shouldn't talk about public perception? We should, and says. But maybe with context. And maybe with accountability. Joy fires back. And exhales slowly. Accountability for what exactly? For how you present yourself to the world, Joy says. Anne's voice lowers. I presented myself as grateful. And some people didn't buy it. And that's their right, and says. But questioning my authenticity a decade later, on live television, feels telling. There's a ripple through the audience. Joy leans back again. Well, you're here. And holds her gaze. Yes, I am. The silence is thick now. Even Whoopi seems unsure how to smoothly transition. The tension hasn't exploded, but it's simmering. And everyone watching can feel it. And this is only the beginning. The silence lingers for a few seconds longer than live television usually allows. Whoopi clears her throat. All right, we're having a conversation. That's what we do here. The audience gives a small, relieved chuckle, but the tension hasn't dissolved. Joy adjusts her papers. Look, and I'm not attacking you. I'm saying the public reaction didn't come out of nowhere. And nods slowly. And I'm saying public reaction is often shaped by how moments are framed. Sunny leans in. I think what Anne is saying is that once a narrative starts, it snowballs. Joy turns to Sunny. But it started somewhere. And responds calmly. It started with people projecting onto a woman who was emotional on stage. Joy sighs. See, that's where we disagree. It wasn't just emotion. It was the tone. It felt rehearsed. A few audience members murmur. Anne's eyes narrow slightly, not angrily, but focused. You've repeated that word a few times. Rehearsed. Well, Joy shrugs. Actors rehearse. Some scattered laughter breaks out. And doesn't laugh. Winning an Oscar wasn't a rehearsal. No one said it was, Joy replies quickly. But you're suggesting my reaction wasn't genuine. I'm suggesting it didn't feel genuine to some viewers. And pauses. And you agree with them? Joy doesn't hesitate. At the time? Yes. The audience reacts louder now, a mix of gasps and surprised murmurs. Whoopi raises her hand slightly. Joy. No, let's be honest, Joy continues. This isn't new. You got backlash. It was all over social media. And nods once. I remember. So why pretend it was only about sexism? Anne's voice drops lower. Because it wasn't only about me. There's a shift again. Joy tilts her head. What does that mean? It means I became a convenient symbol, and says steadily. Ambitious young woman, polished, prepared. People were ready to tear that down. Sunny nods. There's history there. Joy shakes her head. Or maybe people just wanted authenticity. And you don't think I was authentic? And asks directly. Joy meets her gaze. I think you were performing gratitude. A loud, collective reaction from the audience. Someone actually says, wow. Anne's expression tightens. Not defensive, but clearly hurt. I have to ask, and says carefully, what would authentic gratitude look like to you? Joy blinks. Less theatrical. Less emotional? Less calculated. The word calculated hangs heavy. Whoopi leans forward. Joy, careful. I am being careful, Joy says. She's strong. She can handle it. And straightens in her seat. I can handle it. But I'm curious why we're dissecting my character instead of my work. Joy answers immediately. Because public image matters. And nods slowly. It does. And public image is often constructed by conversations like this. The audience claps at that. Joy's lips press together. So now it's our fault. And shakes her head. I didn't say fault. You implied it, Joy responds. Sunny interjects again. I think we're talking about how narratives get amplified. Joy turns to Sunny. We're allowed to discuss cultural moments. Of course, Sunny says. But there's a difference between discussing and reinforcing. The audience reacts with soft applause. And looks at Joy again. I'm not here to fight you. Good, Joy says quickly. Because I'm not fighting. But you are questioning my sincerity, and replies. I'm questioning a moment in time. That moment shaped years of conversation, and says. And you survived, Joy says bluntly. There's an audible reaction to that, a few gasps, a few uncomfortable laughs. Anne's composure holds, but her voice grows firmer. Surviving something doesn't make it insignificant. Whoopi nods slightly. That's fair. Joy exhales. Look, celebrities get criticized. It's part of the job. And responds immediately. Criticism about work is part of the job. Character assassination shouldn't be. The audience claps louder now. Joy raises her eyebrows. Character assassination? That's dramatic. Anne's eyes flash for the first time. Being labeled fake for expressing joy is dramatic. Silence. Alyssa finally speaks up. I think what's happening is we're mixing personal perception with broader cultural commentary. Joy glances at her. It's a talk show. That's what we do. And nods slowly. Then let's talk honestly. We are, Joy says. Then I'll say this honestly, and continues. When I was younger, I tried to meet every expectation. Be gracious. Be polished. Be prepared. And when I succeeded, it was seen as manipulative. Joy responds quickly. Or overdone. And inhales. Do you hear the difference? Joy doesn't answer immediately. Whoopi leans in again. I think we need to acknowledge there was a pile-on. Whether it was fair or not. Joy shrugs. Welcome to fame. Anne's tone shifts, still controlled, but unmistakably sharper. That's easy to say when you're not the one being mocked daily. The audience reacts again. Joy stiffens. I've been mocked daily for 25 years. That's true, Whoopi says quickly, trying to balance. Joy continues. So don't act like I don't understand criticism. And nods respectfully. I'm not dismissing your experience. But you're implying I lack empathy. I'm implying, and says carefully, that sometimes we forget there's a person behind the headline. That line lands. The audience applauds loudly. Joy folds her hands on the table. So what would you like us to say? That everyone was wrong. I'd like acknowledgement that the reaction may have been disproportionate. Joy responds, or maybe the public just reacts strongly to perceived insincerity. And leans slightly forward now. You keep using that word. Because it fits. For you. For many. The tension is no longer subtle. It's direct. Whoopi looks off camera briefly, a silent check with producers. Anne's voice lowers. Can I ask you something else? Joy gestures. Go ahead. If I had rolled my eyes, acted unimpressed, downplayed the win, would that have been more acceptable? Joy pauses. Would that have felt more authentic? And presses. Joy hesitates again. It might have felt less staged. The audience reacts sharply this time, louder murmurs, a few boos. Whoopi raises both hands. All right, and nods once slowly. So visible gratitude reads as staged. Joy responds, excessive visible gratitude can. And leans back slightly. That's interesting. Sunny. Adds quietly, there's a gender element there. Joy shakes her head again. Not everything is about gender. And replies calmly, but some things are. There's a beat of silence. Joy looks directly at Anne. Are you saying I'm perpetuating sexism? The air changes instantly. And answers carefully. I'm saying internalized bias can show up anywhere. The audience gasps audibly. Joy's expression hardens. Internalized bias. I didn't say intentional, and clarifies. But you said it, Joy replies. Whoopi steps in more firmly now. Let's not label each other. And nods. Fair. Joy crosses her arms slightly. I've spent decades advocating for women. And I respect that, and says immediately. But, Joy challenges. But we can still examine how we talk about other women, and finishes. The audience claps again, louder this time. Joy looks toward the audience briefly, then back at Anne. You're very good at this. At what? Anne asks, turning criticism into a larger social commentary. Anne's voice goes steady and cool. Because it usually is. There's no laughter now. No lightness. Whoopi glances toward the control room again. The segment has gone far off its original path, and everyone knows it. And the temperature at the table is still rising. The energy at the table is no longer casual. It's focused. Tight. Everyone is choosing their words more carefully now, but the tension hasn't eased. Whoopi shifts in her chair. All right, we're having a real conversation. That's fine, but let's make sure we're actually listening to each other. I am listening, Joy says quickly, eyes still on Anne. And nods. So am I. Sunny looks between them. Maybe the real question is why this moment still matters so much. Joy answers before Anne can. Because it was cultural. It was everywhere. And responds calmly. It was everywhere because media kept replaying it. Joy tilts her head. So now media is the villain. No, and says. But amplification changes perception. Alyssa leans forward. There's research about that. Once something becomes a meme, it stops being human. The audience murmurs in agreement. Joy sighs. Okay, but memes don't come from nowhere. Anne's patience is still intact, but her tone is firmer now. Memes often come from selective editing. You weren't edited at the Oscars, Joy fires back. No, and replies evenly. But the clips that circulated were. There's a pause. Whoopi nods slowly. That's true. Context gets lost. Joy looks slightly irritated. Are we seriously pretending that public reaction is always unfair? And shakes her head. No one said always. Then what are we saying? Joy presses. And takes a breath. We're saying that once a narrative forms, and Hathaway is fake, everything I did afterward was filtered through that lens. Joy responds, because people felt something was off. Or because they were told something was off, and counters. The audience reacts again, louder this time. Joy's voice sharpens slightly. You're giving the public no credit. I'm giving them context, and says. Context that absolves you. Anne's expression changes. This one lands. Absolves me, she repeats. Yes, Joy says. Every time I bring up perception, you shift it to society, bias, amplification. At what point do you say, maybe I misread the room? The table goes still, and doesn't answer immediately. That silence feels heavier than anything said so far. Finally, she speaks. I was 29 years old. Joy doesn't blink. That's an adult. Yes, and says. An adult navigating global scrutiny for the first time. So you made mistakes? I was enthusiastic. That's not what I asked. The audience gasps again. Whoopi steps in gently. Joy. No, I want to know, Joy continues. Can you admit you miscalculated how you came across? Anne's jaw tightens slightly. If enthusiasm was a miscalculation, then sure. Joy exhales sharply. That's deflection. It's perspective, and replies. Sunny interjects. We're talking about tone policing at this point. Joy turns to Sunny. Or we're talking about personal accountability. Anne's voice lowers, steady and controlled. Accountability for what? Being excited. For presentation, Joy insists. And leans forward now, matching Joy's posture. Why is my presentation still on trial? The audience breaks into loud applause. Joy raises her voice slightly over it. Because you're a public figure. And so are you, and responds instantly. That line hits hard. The audience reacts with a louder mix of gasps and applause. Joy's expression stiffens. And I get criticized all the time. And how does that feel? And asks quietly. Joy hesitates, just for a second. It comes with the territory. And nods slowly. It doesn't mean it's harmless. The room quiets again. Whoopi leans in. I think what Anne is trying to say is that sometimes criticism lingers longer than it should. Joy shakes her head. Or sometimes celebrities want to control the narrative. Anne's eyes lock onto Joy's. No, I want to correct it. 10 years later? Joy asks. Yes, and says without hesitation. That confidence shifts the energy again. Joy studies her for a moment. So this is about redemption? No, and says firmly. It's about closure. The word hangs there. Alyssa nods slightly. That makes sense. Joy crosses her arms again. Closure usually comes from within, and responds calmly. It also comes from honest conversation. Joy gestures around the table. This is honest. Anne's voice tightens just slightly. Is it? The audience reacts, a soft "oh" ripples through the room. Joy leans forward again. Are you saying I'm not being honest? I'm saying your framing assumes guilt, Anne replies. For feeling something? Joy challenges. For deciding that feeling equals truth. Silence. Whoopi looks toward the producers again. The tension is now undeniable. Joy's tone hardens. You're very practiced at this. And doesn't flinch. I've had practice defending myself. The audience applauds loudly. Joy's voice rises just a notch. No one is attacking you. Anne's response is immediate. You called me calculated. You are calculated, Joy says bluntly. The audience gasps loudly, some even boo. Whoopi quickly raises her hands. Okay. Anne's face goes still. Completely still. Calculated, she repeats softly. Yes, Joy says. You think before you speak. You frame things carefully. That's not an insult. And inhales slowly. Intentionality is not manipulation. I didn't say manipulation. You implied it. Joy shakes her head. Now you're doing the thing again. What thing? Anne asks, turning critique into accusation. And sits back. Her composure is intact, but the warmth is gone now. I came here to talk about my work, she says evenly. Not to relitigate a decade-old character judgment. Joy responds instantly. Then don't engage. The audience reacts sharply again. Whoopi steps in more firmly than before. Joy. No, Joy continues. If you don't want to revisit it, you could have brushed it off. And looks directly at her. So I should smile and nod? I didn't say that. But that's what you're suggesting. Joy exhales loudly. You're exhausting. The audience erupts, louder than at any previous moment. Whoopi looks genuinely concerned now. All right, that's enough. And blinks once, clearly taken aback. But she doesn't raise her voice. I'm exhausting, she repeats quietly. Joy doesn't respond immediately. Sunny steps in quickly. Okay, let's reset. But the reset doesn't come. Anne's tone is controlled, but there's hurt underneath it now. If defending my sincerity is exhausting, imagine living through having it questioned for years. The audience applauds again, strong and sustained. Joy looks frustrated now. I asked a question, and I answered it, and says. You reframed it. I contextualized it. You deflected. I disagreed. The exchange is rapid now. Whoopi raises her voice slightly. Ladies. Silence falls again. And looks at Whoopi. With respect, I don't feel like this is productive anymore. The audience murmurs loudly. Joy tilts her head. Because it's uncomfortable? And meets her gaze. Because it's circular. Joy's jaw tightens. Maybe that's because you won't admit fault. Anne's voice is very steady now. I will not apologize for being joyful. The audience erupts into applause. Joy shakes her head slightly. No one asked you to apologize. It feels like you are, Anne replies. And for the first time, Joy doesn't immediately fire back. The silence stretches. The producers are clearly talking in Whoopi's earpiece now. And the segment, which was supposed to promote a film, has completely unraveled into something much bigger. The question now isn't just about perception. It's about pride. And neither woman looks ready to back down. The silence after that last exchange doesn't feel like television silence anymore. It feels personal. Whoopi presses her hand gently against the table. Okay, we're going to take a breath. The audience is still reacting, a mix of applause, murmurs, and scattered boos that quickly fade when the cameras pan across the table. And sits upright, composed, hands folded. She's calm on the surface, but her expression is firm now. There's no trace of the earlier lightness. Joy exhales and leans back in her chair. I think this is being blown out of proportion. And turns to her slowly. I don't. That simple response lands harder than anything loud could. Whoopi glances toward the control room again. We are live, she reminds everyone. Yes, we are, Joy replies. And live means honest. And nods once. Honest doesn't have to mean dismissive. Joy's eyebrows lift. Dismissive. When you say I'm exhausting, and says evenly, that feels dismissive. The audience reacts again, softer this time, but attentive. Joy hesitates. For the first time, she looks slightly unsure. I meant the back and forth. Not you personally. It felt personal, Anne replies. Sunny quietly adds, intent and impact aren't always the same. That line hangs in the air. Joy shifts in her seat. Fine. If that came off harsh, that wasn't my intention. It's not quite an apology, but it's the closest thing yet. And nods. Thank you. There's a fragile calm now. But it doesn't feel stable. Whoopi jumps in quickly. Let's redirect. And your new project, and gently interrupts. Actually, I think I'm done. The audience gasps audibly. Joy looks stunned. Done. And keeps her tone measured. I don't feel like continuing this conversation in this format is productive. Whoopi's voice lowers. Are you saying you want to leave? And pauses, just long enough for the tension to spike again. Yes, she says quietly. I think I should. The audience erupts, louder than at any point in the segment. Some clap in support. Others shout in surprise. Joy throws her hands up slightly. You're walking off because we disagreed? And stands slowly from her chair. I'm stepping away because this stopped being a discussion about work and became a defense of my character. It was always about perception, Joy insists. And perception can be challenged, and replies. Whoopi stands slightly from her seat too, trying to manage the moment. All right, hold on. And turns toward Whoopi respectfully. With respect, I appreciate the invitation. I truly do. But I don't feel comfortable continuing. The audience is divided now, applause mixing with uneasy silence. Joy shakes her head. This is exactly what I mean. And stops mid-step and turns back. What do you mean? She asks calmly. That you control the narrative, Joy says. You leave when it doesn't go your way. The air shifts again, and looks directly at her. No, I leave when the tone stops being constructive. There's another loud reaction from the audience. Whoopi steps fully in now. Okay, we are not doing this as she's walking off. And is already moving toward the edge of the stage. Sunny stands halfway, clearly uncomfortable. Alyssa looks stunned. Joy calls out, You could have stayed and finished it. And pauses one last time and turns back, voice steady. I've said what I needed to say. And with that, she walks off stage. The audience noise is overwhelming now, some standing, some clapping, some shouting. The cameras cut quickly back to the table. Whoopi takes control. All right, we're going to take a quick break. The show cuts to commercial. But what happened during that break is just as telling. According to later reports from audience members, and didn't storm backstage. She didn't yell. She calmly thanked the stage manager, removed her mic, and spoke briefly with a producer before heading to her dressing room. Meanwhile, at the table, the co-hosts remained seated. Joy reportedly said off mic, I wasn't attacking her. Sunny responded quietly. It escalated. Producers were visibly tense. Staff moved quickly. When the show returned from break and was gone, Whoopi addressed it directly and has chosen to step away from the conversation. We respect her decision. Joy added, disagreement shouldn't mean departure. That comment triggered another wave of audience murmurs. By the end of the episode, the mood never fully recovered. And then came social media. Within minutes, clips of the exchange were everywhere. Anne Hathaway walks off the view. Joy Behar calls and calculated on live TV. Did Joy go too far? Hashtags started trending. Supporters of Anne Hathaway praised her composure. Many pointed out how calm she remained even when the tone shifted. Others said she handled herself with grace and left with dignity. Critics argued she overreacted. That walking off a live show proved Joy's point. That tough conversations are part of being a public figure. Clips of Joy Behar saying, "You're exhausting," circulated the most. Some defended her bluntness. Others called it disrespectful. By that evening, entertainment outlets were running full segments breaking down the exchange frame by frame. The following day, insiders reported that Anne's team had declined follow-up interviews about the incident. No public statement was released from her directly. Joy addressed it briefly on the next episode, saying, "We have strong conversations here. Not everyone likes them." Whoopi added, "Live TV is unpredictable." Behind the scenes, according to multiple audience members who later spoke online, producers were divided. Some felt the segment went too personal. Others felt it was simply a heated debate that spiraled. But one thing was clear. It was one of the most talked about moments the show had seen in years. Not because voices were raised. Not because someone screamed. But because two strong personalities refused to back down. And sometimes that's louder than shouting. In the end, there was no dramatic confrontation backstage. No public feud. Just silence. And continued promoting her project elsewhere. Joy continued hosting. But that moment, that pause, that word calculated, that quiet, "I think I'm done," lingered. It sparked conversations about media narratives, celebrity perception, and how women critique other women on public platforms. And whether you believe Anne was right to walk away, or Joy was right to press the issue, one thing is undeniable: it felt real. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think Anne Hathaway handled it the right way? Did Joy Behar cross a line? Or was this just honest talk show debate that went a little too far? Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to Chronicle Chat for more real talk show stories.